Well, good Monday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Monday evening going into your future. As you can see by the title, South Carolina will see a stormy end to August. And it's not just one model that's saying it, it's not just, just one specific ensemble that's saying it either. It's a couple of models that have been saying that we will have a stormy end to August. And I mean, you're already kind of seeing it right now as we go throughout the next 3 days and when it does come to the SPC outlooks. But we're going to get into that in just a moment. If you've not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go in and do so, as it is free to do so. What's on tap for tonight? Quiet tonight into Tuesday morning. Scattered to numerous afternoon thunderstorms possible tomorrow. Some strong to severe. Increasing unsettled weather mid to late week, and locally heavy rainfall and isolated flash flooding possible mid to late week. So, what is currently going on right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina? Well, right now, pretty dry. We have like a little storm that may be trying to go on over here near Allendale, near Buck Hall, towards Pineland. And then also, we have some thunderstorm activity going on over here in the Grand Strand from the Grand Strand Regional Medical Center near Forest Dunes in Long Bay. That's just to the north and east of Myrtle Beach. But if we go on and look out towards the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on in Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, even inside of Illinois, New York, Maine also included in there. We have some severe weather in Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, as well as Nevada, Oregon, and Idaho. We do have some severe weather from the Dakotas down into Nebraska. This is for right now the potential for some tornadoes, damaging winds, and some hail. We have a couple of storms right now producing some large hail, some storms, 60 mile per hour wind gusts right now. And there's a lot kind of going on up there. But what's going on for our cloud cover for tonight? Well, it does look like that we're looking on the mostly fair side. Not too much cloud cover for the most part, but there should be some cloud cover here and there somewhere. Now, if we go and take a look at that cloud cover for the future, we go in and put this to the, not the 19Z, but the 18Z. And just as we push this forward over into tonight, going over into tomorrow morning, cloud cover activity does seem to try and make an appearance tomorrow morning, kind of clouding up the morning time. But as we get into the afternoon, going into the evening as well tomorrow, we're still seeing cloud cover activity for a good amount of the state. We go over into Wednesday, going into Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, and cloud cover activity again trying to come back, but takes a little bit of a break maybe during the morning time. Now, what about for our current temperatures? Right now, we're talking about 84 in Columbia, 81 Lugoff, and 81 in Hartsville, 83 Florence, and 84 in Sumter, 85 Orangeburg and Aiken, as well as 81 in Somerville, 81 Charleston, and 83 in Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, 80 Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, and 78 inside of Conway. We also do have around a good 81 in Greenville, Spartanburg, 79 Gaffney, 80 in York. So we have a lot of areas, especially over there near Orangeburg and Aiken, around 85 as the highest. Everybody else kind of just staying inside of the 80s. We do have some the lowest temperature up there near Gaffney. And then pretty much that is all for the current temperatures. Air quality as we move over into tonight, it does look like that the majority of us are inside of that good category, but good amount of us inside of that moderate category. That's from Florence to Sumter going over into the low country areas. And then also inside of Orangeburg, there is a moderate risk of air quality. Not too bad, and not too great either. Again, if you're in the yellow area, you have to watch out for some moderate air quality over in those areas. Now, what about for our high temperatures for tomorrow first? High temperatures for tomorrow first. 90, Greenville, 89, Spartanburg, as well as 90 in Rock Hill. 94, Columbia and Orangeburg, as well as 94 in Walterboro. 90 in Charleston and 89 in Georgetown. 87 in Myrtle Beach and 89 in Hilton Head Island. We even see 96 over there in Aiken. And then low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about 66 in Greenville, 65 Spartanburg, as well as 70 in Columbia, 71 Orangeburg, and 72 in Moncks Corner, 77 in Charleston, as well as 73 in Georgetown, 74 Myrtle Beach, and 69 inside of Aiken. Heat index values for tomorrow, not bad, maybe around 105 plus, but I don't really think it's going to get close to 110. Now, for our rainfall for the next 24 hours, a good amount of rainfall is potentially possible here. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch in areas like Barnwell, Orangeburg, Georgetown, maybe even Hilton Head Island. And then we may even see a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch for areas like Charleston, going over into Walterboro, and then maybe even a quarter of an inch to a half an inch in areas in the very far low country. Crazy score for right now, we're at a 6. Pretty calm right now. We do see some shower activity going on, some potential storm activity going on, but for the most part, it's not really anything that anybody should really be concerned or worried about. Now, in terms of the SPC outlook, technically there is still a risk for a slight risk of severe weather up there for the Grand Strand area, Myrtle Beach, going over into Conway, Georgetown, in those areas. If you are inside that slight risk of severe weather for tonight, or really even the marginal, I think that we're really done for severe weather for tonight, to be honest. But even, if we was to go in and take a look at the actual risk, because they did upgrade that slight risk today to not only include the chance for hail, damaging winds, but also for tornadoes. Yes, also for tornadoes today. There was a 2% risk of tornadoes that included Myrtle Beach, Georgetown, going over into the Conway areas. But again, didn't really form as much. Didn't really form as much in terms of like a tornado threat. And then, in terms of any storm reports, we had 0 storm reports for today, 0. But moving back over into tomorrow, because I really think that tonight's severe weather threat is done. Thunderstorms are still possible, though, don't get me wrong. Tomorrow, marginal risk of severe weather in the dark green, that's Hilton Head Island going into like just the western low country in general. That is a 5% chance of, you can probably guess it, damaging wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. No hail, no tornado threat, just a damaging wind threat. And then for Wednesday, August the 26th, everybody has a chance of a thunderstorm as we get back to that widespread summertime pattern to where everybody could see a storm going into Wednesday. Now, what about for excessive rainfall? Looks like excessive rainfall-wise, we still have that risk of isolated flash flooding near the coast. It's winding down. Tomorrow, again, another risk of isolated flash flooding from Georgetown down through Charleston, down over into Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, and those areas. And then on Wednesday, we're good for Wednesday. Thursday comes in, though, and we do have a risk for some isolated flash flooding from Greenville through Spartanburg and all the way down towards the coastal areas of South Carolina. So we are seeing a good amount of rainfall activity, isolated flash flooding activity ongoing in areas from the upstate to the coastal areas. And then as we go into Friday, same thing. Kind of shaves off the upstate a little bit, but again, the Midlands going all the way down towards the Grand Strand and the low country areas. Now, what about for the models? We're going to go in and take a look at that because I think that this is very important to go in and take a look at and really pay attention to, just because when it comes to these models, especially for the future, you're kind of looking at that summer pattern gradually start to make its way come back. For example, this is 8 p.m. tonight. We go in and push this forward over into the nighttime hours, 12 a.m., 1 a.m. or so. Still may see like a little thunderstorm going on here or there, but, not too bad. We get over into the morning hours and we're still looking good. Even into the noon time frame, we're still looking pretty good. Now, as we go on and take a look at the 18Z, so we can kind of go a little bit further into the future, we're going to push this over into the afternoon. Here's 3, here's 4 o'clock p.m. Low country covered with showers and storms. Same thing with the Grand Strand and the parts of the eastern PD areas being included inside of that thunderstorm risk there. Now, as we move over to 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., showers and storms start still going, starts to calm down a little bit by around 9 p.m. and onward. Even by 11 p.m., though, you still could see some shower activity and some storm activity in areas like the coastal low country areas. We move over to 2 a.m. to even 3 a.m. on Wednesday, and we still have a bunch of shower and storm activity even going into Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. But that's like early Wednesday morning. But the coastal areas could still be dealing with some shower activity early on Wednesday. You get over into the later morning and still seeing a lot. 2 p.m. comes along, and then that shower and storm activity comes back once again. So we are definitely not done for when it comes to this summer pattern. This summer pattern is getting back. If you thought that we were done with it, absolutely not. Summer pattern is on the way back, and we're going to start seeing that pattern to where we see showers and storms throughout the day, get throughout the evening time, things, kind of going on and kind of getting a bit stronger during the evening. But then as you get into the nighttime hours, things calm down a little bit, going into the morning, things looking pretty dry for the most part, and then getting back into the afternoon, and it showers and storms again. So, how much rainfall could we potentially receive over around like the next 40 hours or so? This does backlog to around 3 p.m., so that does mean that totals from earlier today could impact this. But including those totals, I mean, we could potentially see some areas get up. Let me go in and fix this. There we go. Some areas could potentially get, close to 1.5 inches of rainfall. Some areas could get up to around close to 2 inches. You see some areas over here getting up to 3.5 inches of rainfall, including flash flooding. Remember, this does include flash flooding. So the previous map that I showed you does not. This does include flash flooding with it. You see 2.5 near areas of the coastal areas in Charleston County. You may see around 1.5 inches over in other areas in the western parts of the low country. And then look up here in the upstate. Nice and dry up here inside of the upstate and into the Midlands as well. So we're looking at a good amount here. We definitely are looking at a good amount here in terms of rainfall, especially in the low country and especially in the Grand Strand / Petey areas. Now, what's going on right now as we go over into the long-term future? Because, it's good. It's good to go on and make it to around, make a good amount of rainfall for some of these areas that definitely do need it just due to the drought. But what about if we move further along to the future? We start off here into Wednesday on August the 26th. And as we push this forward, watch how active it's going to be through Wednesday, through Thursday, through Friday, even going on into Saturday, through Sunday. I mean, we stay active all the way through into the weekend here. We get over into next week, Monday, and high pressure comes in, tries to make us a bit drier as we get into Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Honestly, the beginning parts of next week look pretty good. But what do you notice about the beginning of next week? Well, look at the date. That's August the 31st. And remember what I said inside of the title. I said, South Carolina will see a stormy end to August. We'll see a stormy end to August. And when do you start to see things like try to cool down and try to calm down a little bit? September 1st. So, all of this activity that we're seeing here is in late August. But then as soon as you get into September, things calm down. The 2nd, here's the 3rd, here's the 4th, and things are still looking pretty okay. I mean, even as we go later on. Now, once we get to around September the 5th or so, things get a little bit out of whack, and so we're not going to go on and talk about that too much. But one thing that I will say is that September seems to be trying to start off pretty quiet. It does. Now, as we take a look and see how much rainfall we could potentially receive over the next 384 hours, well, it does look like that a good amount of us may see around 1 inch and 9/10, or maybe even 2 inches of rainfall. Some areas may see around 2.5 inches of rainfall over the next 384 hours. That's a possibility for a lot of these areas on an average wide basis. Now, for the European model, maybe 1.3 inches or so. And then other areas may see around 3.4, 3.5. In areas like the Grand Strand, going on over inside of the low country as well. So we are looking for a good amount of rainfall according to both of these models, but the European is still not that confident. Still not that confident with the upstate receiving a good amount of rainfall. Maybe 1.3 to 1.4 inches, while the GFS kind of shows more of around 2 inches. But the thing is with the GFS, or the GEFS, is that it doesn't show as much according to like the higher end totals down here near the low country areas and the Grand Strand areas. It only shows around 2 inches, while the European shows maybe 3.5 inches. So that's kind of the difference between the two. The GEFS is more condensed, more on an average basis almost, while the European is more broad, talking about 1 inches maybe in one side of the state to potentially 3.5 on the other side. But in terms of precipitation, I mean, that's a lot to kind of go over and a big difference. But temperature-wise, things are looking, pretty active as well in terms of changing. We start off here going into Wednesday, for example. We push this over into Thursday, and we get a pretty big cold blast that tries to come in as we go over into Thursday, potentially maybe even into Friday. But then as we go over into Saturday and Sunday, we're still around 10 degrees above average potentially. But then watch Sunday afternoon. You see some areas around 3 degrees, some areas around 5 degrees, some areas maybe even at 10 degrees above average moving into Sunday. So that doesn't really mean that it's going to be cool, obviously. Obviously, it's still going to be warmer than average for this time of year. But what it does mean is it's definitely still a huge improvement for what we've been seeing for the past couple of weeks. Now, as you go over into Monday and then over into Tuesday or so, we're still around 10 to 11 degrees, if not more, above average. And then watch as we get into next week, Tuesday. It could be getting right back to being hot. Again, 15 degrees above average in areas of the upstate. Overall, widespread 10 to 15 degrees above average widespread in the state as we move into early next week. We get over into Wednesday, almost close to 20 degrees above average. So, enjoy this cooler air while we have it. Even though not really too cool, it's still technically hot. But going into next week, it's going to get hot quick. It is going to get hot quick. And then even as we move into Thursday, look at Thursday of next week. I know, 200 hours out, I know that we probably shouldn't be looking at this. 23, 24, 25 degrees above average. Remember that date, September the 3rd. But then a cool blast comes down, knocks all of that warmer air towards the west, which is not good for two of the areas that we talk about because it's just going to continue to stay hot over in those areas. But overall, cooler air does try to move in. Now, what's going to happen in terms of those actual temperatures? We go over into Wednesday, going also into Thursday and Friday. And, we're still in the low 90s, high 80s or so. We go over into Saturday and Sunday. We're in the mid 90s now. Then we get over into Monday of next week and watch Tuesday, 2 p.m. Temperatures up into the 100s. Wednesday comes in, we're even higher than that. And then Thursday comes in, and we are very hot going into next week. So next week could be a pretty hot week. It really could be. So make sure that and everybody that knows that this heat's not done. We shouldn't be going on and saying, "Oh, well, it's fall time now," because I've been seeing a lot of people saying that it's fall. Technically it's not, but I'm a huge technical person. But this summer heat is definitely not done. Definitely not done yet. And we still have, potentially some models that could be saying that this may not happen. It may not be this hot, and it does have the potential to not be this hot. I mean, this is 246 hours out. You got to remember that this is still, this still has a chance of happening. Doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to happen. Now, as we go in and take a look over at the heat index values, I mean, not too much to really watch for here. We may get up close to the 100s or so, if not, past 100. But for the most part, I'm not seeing really anything too bad until we get later on into next week, when, we could potentially see a lot of those temperatures get up higher. So that's just what I'm kind of watching for there. And then for our mean temperature past 200 hours, it does look like that even the ensembles are saying that we are going to actually kind of trend downward a little bit towards September. So could the GFS, could it just be having one little model run where it's like a bit heat bias? I mean, that's a possibility. Again, we could see that all of this heat kind of go away tomorrow. We definitely can. I mean, because this is Thursday right here, all the way up hot. It's around the 104, 105, 107 degree range. What happens if we go to the 18Z, for example? 18Z says the same thing. We go to the 0Z. This was this morning. This was this morning's forecast right here. And you see the huge difference compared to this morning and then right now? That's a huge difference. So that's why I'm saying, we got to take all this with a grain of salt, and we got to get a little bit closer for it. But that's pretty much all I have to say here in terms of the models. It's tropics time because the tropics is still being active right now and still staying with us. We still have two areas. One of them we're not really watching as much, but the other one we are. The one that we're not watching as much, Disturbance 2, this is Invest 95. The shower activity is showing signs of organization, but the circulation remains broad and elongated. This system could become a short-lived tropical depression or storm tomorrow before it moves over cool waters and into unfavorable environmental conditions Tuesday night and Wednesday. So this has a 50% chance of forming overall, but watch as you get over into tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Watch as we get into disturbance 2. This is now an invest. They just made this an invest. Invest 96. Tropical wave and associated area of low pressure over the far eastern Atlantic, a few hundred miles southeast of the Cabo Verde Islands, is producing disorganized shower and thunderstorms. This could become a tropical depression over the next few days while it moves west to west northwest across the eastern and the central tropical Atlantic. Environmental conditions could become less conducive for development by the weekend. So this has a 40% chance of development over the next 48 hours, and then a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days. So we are watching both of these, really just one, but I guess technically watching both to see, what in the world that they do. The only one that really has a chance of impacting us is Disturbance 1, which is why I have the ensembles pulled up for it to see what they're saying today compared to what they said yesterday. This is the, this is not it. This is it. This is the Euro AI model. This one has it kind of continuing its way up towards the north and west. And then as we go all the way into Tuesday, September comes in, and then we kind of just take a look at it kind of just going all over the place, for example. So again, kind of pushes back a little bit, go all the way through into Saturday, Sunday, Monday of next week, Tuesday of next week, and then the low pressures kind of go all over the place, not really too organized. And eventually, it does kind of just curve out. It doesn't really impact us much. Now, what could we potentially say according to the European? Well, the European model is kind of on the same track, maybe a little bit towards the east, and most models are. But look at this one. We have one or two stragglers trying to continue its way over towards the state. That's like around a 955. That is a 955 millibar low pressure. That's a pretty strong one. That is a pretty strong hurricane at that point. So that leaves us to believe that the possibility for this thing to potentially impact us over here in South Carolina is not out of the question. It's not. It really can. Right now, it's likely that it doesn't, but the possibility is there that this thing could try to go towards us and stay as a hurricane and could potentially cause some big time issues. But for right now, most models are saying up towards the north and east. So that's why I always say make sure your hurricane plans are in place, because you never know which one, may try to straggle off away from the crowd. Now, the GEFS is the GFS. GFS kind of says the same thing, most of it curving, but has a little straggler or two trying to continue its way out towards the west a little bit more. So, again, even with the GEFS, the possibility is there. And, that's pretty much all I have to say there. We still have a long way to go before this thing really gets going, for sure. But for right now, it hasn't even formed into a tropical depression yet, or even a tropical storm. So, we're just going to kind of just keep a look at these ensembles and see what they say. But for right now, most of them curving, a couple of them trying to get their way out a little bit further west. And that's pretty much all I have to say here for the tropics. In terms of earthquakes, we did not have an earthquake today. So let's go on and take a look at the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say here for tonight. We're going to start off here with my Aunt Lula first, who says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Today's high in Georgetown was 91. Felt like 99. Currently, it's 80 degrees. Hot day today in Georgetown. We did have a little rain shower at about 1:30 p.m. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. And then, in terms of what happened at my house today, 84. Feels like 94 right now. And the high temperature today was 95. 95 was the high temperature for today at my house. And as I'm just looking down, kind of seeing, we've had 35 people tune in tonight and only 7 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 28 that have not hit the like button yet, please go ahead and do so. It's free. It's free. It always will be. Cheryl says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. And then Thad says, good evening, Joseph and the 360 Weather family. I trust all is well. As usual, it was another overwhelmingly hot day here in San Antonio. We had a high of 103. We are in a heat advisory until Wednesday, with heat indices reaching around 110. So, yeah, I mean, just continuing to stay hot over there. Not as hot as, you may would see um, for a heat advisory over here in South Carolina, I don't think, because heat indices of 110, just due to the humidity down here, it gets up, very, like much higher than that. But, 110 is still hot and still nothing to mess around with. My Nana says, hello, Jay and all. I was out today and mission was accomplished. I'm having some issues, but it is nice outside now. Well, I'm glad that you got some stuff accomplished today and glad that it's outside right now for you. Thad then says, I did not spend a lot of time outside simply because I didn't want to cook. Well, for the most part, I don't blame you. I do not blame you. Um, yeah, I don't blame you for not being wanting to be outside. I mean, it's hot out there. Continuing to stay up into the hundreds for you in terms of high temperatures, I don't blame you at all. I really do not. And that's all that I can see here in terms of the chat. So we're going to go on real quick and ask the top fan question of the night. You might be asking, top fan question, what am I talking about? It's a question where we go on and ask and see who was paying attention. And whoever goes on and gets that question correct will go on and win top fan of the night for tonight and win bragging rights for tonight going into tomorrow. So the question I already have is, when we were talking about the current temperatures at the beginning of the stream, again, current temperatures, what is currently going on, what were the two towns that I said that had the highest heat index temperatures? Again, there was two specific towns or cities, it could be either one, that had the highest temperatures currently right now. What were those two areas? If you can go on and guess those two areas, you will win top fan of the night for tonight. So again, literally all you have to do is just name towns. Even if you don't know and you tuned in late, you still could just go on and type in a random town or city inside of South Carolina. So everybody here should be able to participate tonight. I mean, if you know where you live at least, and you know what towns are around you, everybody should be able to go in and answer this question, or at least throw in a couple. Now, I will say that there was two answers to it. And so, if you know both of them, obviously don't put both of them inside the chat. But there was two answers, so we have the opportunity for two people to win top fan of the night for tonight. Again, two areas that were the hottest in terms of current temperatures earlier when I was talking about it. But before we get into that and before we go in and reveal the answers, we have 4 areas outside of South Carolina to talk about. You may be asking, 4 areas outside of South Carolina, why are we doing this? Well, because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. Like, for example, Thad over there in San Antonio. This is the San Antonio forecast right here. And so, currently, over there in San Antonio, low temperatures tonight at 76. High temperatures for tomorrow at 102. And low temperatures tomorrow night at 78. No precipitation tonight, but hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I see something. I see something inside of the forecast. Hold on. It's a chance of rainfall on Thursday and Friday. Oh my goodness, a chance of rain for Thursday and Friday for you over there inside of San Antonio. It's a 20%, but we'll take it. A 20% is a 20%. We'll take it 100%. And it looks like that since it's this far out in stone, it's not, you may be seeing a little bit of a break from maybe like the huge ridge kind of building over from you. Now, it's still dry afterwards, so, I still wouldn't be trying to I wouldn't bring up your hopes that much. But for the most part, a 20% chance of thunderstorm activity. Some torrential downpours could happen. You could see a good amount of rainfall. But even as you move into next weekend, or this weekend going into next week, your temperature is only going to be in the high 90s. So you may not even reach the 100-degree mark as well. So a lot of good things potentially happening here for you. A lot of good things. Now, what's going on in terms of severe weather, in terms of excessive rainfall? Well, it does look like right now that you're looking actually pretty safe in terms of severe weather. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, you're also doing pretty good as well. And then let's go on and see, because we have a couple of answers. I see Aiken and Barnwell. I will tell you, one of those answers is correct, and it is Aiken. And my Aunt Lula did get the answer first, so she has one of the two answers for tonight. Again, the question was, what was the two areas that had the highest current temperature currently that I talked about earlier? And I actually said it. I even made sure that I emphasized that these two areas had the highest temperatures earlier. So I kind of gave, y'all kind of a free hint there. But my Aunt Lula did get it. Guess she was paying attention, said Aiken. That's correct. But there's one more, and Barnwell is pretty close to this area. Another answer is still out there for you. Now, for Raleigh, North Carolina being the next location, you have low temperatures tonight at around a good 63. High temperatures for tomorrow at 88. Low temperatures tomorrow night at 66. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow. And then just as you move over into the future, though, it's going to continue to be active. Sunday comes in and Monday also comes in as well of next week. And you do seem to dry off, but after tomorrow, it's going to be a chance of rainfall for you every single day. And it's going to stay hot up into the 80s and 90s for you. Now, what about for severe weather and for excessive rainfall? You do have a risk of excessive rainfall for Thursday and maybe Friday. You're not in it yet for Friday, but Thursday you do have that risk. And then for severe weather, no risk of severe weather for you. I don't see any more answers. Oh, yes, I do. And it's the correct answer. It was Orangeburg. Orangeburg was the second correct answer for tonight. So my cousin Thad did get it. So congratulations to you for getting the second answer, being the dual top fans of the night for tonight. So again, congratulations to the two of y'all for winning it. But let's go ahead and wrap this up real quick with Philadelphia, and then also with Duncan, Oklahoma. Now, Philadelphia's thing, at least it shouldn't say isolated thunderstorms. I don't know why in the world it does say that, but it does. 64 tonight, tomorrow 84 for a high. Tomorrow night, low temperatures 65. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow. And then as you move over into your future, though, going into Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, for example, you do have a risk of rainfall activity there. And then as you move into the weekend, though, drier, and you're going to stay in the 80s. You're going to stay in the 80s. Severe weather-wise, no risk of severe weather. Excessive rainfall. You do have a risk of excessive rainfall on Thursday. Yes, you do have a risk of excessive rainfall on Thursday. So please make sure that you are paying attention for that. And make sure that you are keeping that in mind, because may not sound like a big deal now, but we've seen time and time again that those risks, even those small ones, do matter, which is why here on this channel we take every risk seriously. Doesn't matter what it is. And then finally, for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at 78, high temperatures for tomorrow at 106, low temperatures tomorrow night at 75. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow, but tomorrow night, slight chance of thunderstorm activity. And then onwards, excessive rainfall wise, no risk of excessive rainfall for you for the next 5 days. Severe weather wise, you are good here as well. But thunderstorm activity back on the horizon for you. Definitely back on the horizon for you as you move over into Wednesday, Thursday. And then as you get to around Friday, you kind of calm down and onward. And then that's pretty much all I have to say here in terms of these 4 areas. Let's see what is currently going on right now in terms of the entire nation. Weather news wise, gusty winds and heavy rainfall may impact the Big Island of Hawaii as the nearby tropical system passes west of the islands. From the southwest U.S., Rockies, and the Gulf Coast, heavy rainfall could lead to isolated flash flooding, and severe thunderstorms are expected for portions of the plains, the Gulf Coast, and the southeast through tomorrow. extreme heat does linger for the southern plains and for the southwest. So that heat that we were receiving over here, that dangerous heat, continuing to shift its way west, and I've been saying that it's going to shift its way west for the past couple of days now. And so that's why I think that you should go on and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because you get early warnings like that, early stuff, early info, all of that stuff here on this channel. So if you have not hit the like button yet, please go on and do so. Hit the subscribe button. We're at 826, trying to get to 900 by the end of September, and then trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. I think that we will do it. I think that we'll get to 1,000 by the end of the year, but I can't do it by myself, obviously. So need everybody to go into the like button, subscribe button, the share button, share with your friends, family members, acquaintances, people that you don't talk to regularly, because it's free, and it always will be. But I will be back tomorrow for your Tuesday morning forecast update. Make sure I didn't see any, miss any chats for tonight, any emails. I don't see any emails for me. My nana says earthquake hit North Carolina at 7:57 a.m. on a 3.6 scale. Well, thank you so much for that information, and I do see it right here on my map. Actually, over here, up here inside of the kind of western areas near Asheville or so, but I don't see a 3.6. I don't see a 3.6. I see, yeah, I don't see anything about a 3.6 though on my map, but I do see a 2.0. I do see a couple of 2.0s. I see a 2.4 in Georgia in the northwestern portions, nothing in South Carolina, but I don't see anything in terms of a 3.6 scale. But I don't know, maybe it's me, maybe it's my info. But for right now, I don't see anything there yet. But that's all. I'll be back tomorrow morning for your Tuesday morning forecast update. Also tomorrow evening for your Tuesday evening forecast update, 8 o'clock p.m., same time. Make sure that you're there.